Hello everyone. In this video, we will understand market equilibrium. By definition, equilibrium is a situation in which there is no tendency for change. In other words, both buyer and sellers are satisfied with the prevailing market price and quantity. So there is no pressure for the market to move away from that point. Let us understand this with the help of a graph. In this graph, on vertical axis, we have price of pizza, and on the horizontal axis, we have the quantity of pizza. Let us draw a downward sloping demand curve and an upward sloping supply curve. The point where the demand curve and supply curve intersect each other is called the market equilibrium. At this point, the equilibrium price is 10 and the equilibrium quantity is 5. This means that consumers are willing to buy 5 units and producers are willing to supply 5 units. Therefore, quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Now let us see what happens when the price is different from the equilibrium price. Suppose the price is 16. At this price, consumers demand only 2 units, while producers supply 8 units. As a result, a surplus is created in the market because quantity supplied exceeds quantity demanded. Now consider the opposite situation. Suppose the price is 4. At this price, consumers are willing to buy 8 units, but producers supply only 2 units. This creates a shortage because quantity demanded exceeds quantity supplied. Both surplus and shortage create pressure for the market price to move towards the equilibrium level. Therefore, the market tends to move back to equilibrium over time. Now let us calculate market equilibrium using equations. The inverse demand equation is P is equal to 20 minus 2QD. This equation represents the current demand curve on the graph. The inverse supply equation is P is equal to 2QS. This equation represents the current supply curve on the graph. To calculate the equilibrium price and quantity, we first need to apply the equilibrium condition, which is quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Notice that this condition is expressed in terms of quantities, whereas our demand and supply equations are currently expressed in terms of price. Therefore, before applying the equilibrium condition, we must rewrite both equations in terms of quantity. Rearranging the demand equation gives Qd is equal to 10 minus 0.5 P. Rearranging the supply equation gives Qs is equal to 0.5 P. Since equilibrium occurs where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied, we can now substitute these expressions into the equilibrium condition. Qd is equal to Qs. This gives us 10 minus 0.5p is equal to 0.5p. Adding 0.5p to both sides gives 10 is equal to p. Therefore, the equilibrium price is 10. We denote it by p star. To find the equilibrium quantity, we substitute the equilibrium price into either the demand equation or the supply equation. Substituting the equilibrium price 10 into the demand equation gives Qd is equal to 10 minus 0.5p multiplied by 10, which gives Qd is equal to 5. Therefore, the equilibrium quantity is 5. We denote it by Q star. Substituting P is equal to 10 into the supply equation also gives Qs is equal to 5, confirming our result. Thus, the equilibrium point on the graph represents P star is equal to 10 and Q star is equal to 5. At this point, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied, which means the producer will supply 5 units and consumer will buy 5 units. The equilibrium price is 10. To summarize, market equilibrium occurs where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. At this point, there is no tendency for price or quantity to change. If the market moves away from equilibrium, shortages or surpluses create pressure that pushes it back toward equilibrium.